Happy Tuesday, everybody. Danny and Dusty, we missed you yesterday. I missed the folks.
Did you?
Yeah, my neighbor Moyne, he got home. He's like, hey, yeah, you know, it's tough living out there when they got NASCAR on. He goes, I was worried about you at first, but then I was like, it's President's Day. My neighbor he said, if you're not working, it's a good day off. I said, yeah, NASCAR on the radio must be interesting.
They're making a left turn.
Yes, and there's another left turn.
They're making a left turn.
Oh, hey, look at that crash. Big crash.
Big crash
Big
on that
crash.
on that left turn.
Yeah. You never know. It could come on the straightaway. It could come on that left turn.
I mean, if it happens on the straightaway, that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, Robin's racing. That's what Days of Thunder taught me. Great movie, Days of Thunder. I love Days of Thunder.
God, it's good. It's so bad, it's good.
That's 100% it. It is not a cinematic masterpiece by any stretch, but it is so bad it is.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah. So great.
You get some early John C. Reilly in there.
You do.
Yeah.
That was the prelude to Ricky Bobby.
Boy, they really tried to make Tom Cruise look like he was taller than Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
And they failed miserably. No. But it gave us a very weird marriage out of that movie. That's a movie they met on.
I feel like there's a lot of those.
Wasn't that
celebrity couples?
Isn't that Tom Holland and Zendaya?
I think they were together
before Spider-Man.
They were together before Spider-Man for sure.
2017. They've been together that long. Yeah. Holy crap! Look, that's true love. He needs to put a ring on that.
I mean, that's going to be one of those.
See, a marriage made.
Didn't Jolie and Brad Pitt, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, were they married before that?
Can't tell you. I
feel like that was one that they met on.
I don't know. I don't know. I think Jim and Pam. I would believe it if they were actually married, but they're not. They're not. Who's Krasinski dating?
He's married to Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt, that's right.
He tells the story of like when he was going overseas, they were filming something in England, and the guy at customs was like, what's your purpose here? And he goes, I'm checking out my wife, just seeing what she's doing. And he goes, what do you do? And he's like, I'm an actor. And he's like, would I know you from anything? He goes, well, I took the British version of The Office and did that over in America, which pissed off the guy in England. He kind of dismissed it. Yeah. For those that don't know, The Office originated in England.
Yeah.
And then he goes, well, what about your wife? Is she anything I know? He goes, well, it's Emily Blunt. And then he goes, the guy behind the counter was like, you?
Yeah. Just absolutely furious,
disgusted. Like, you married Emily Blunt?
Yeah, I got a huge personality.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
She's sneaky, by the way.
I don't think she's sneaking up on anybody.
She's sneaky.
No.
Like when you talk about
right there.
No, she is. But when you talk about the beauts of Hollywood, she doesn't ever get listed right away.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then the second you see her, her too. Yeah,
forgot.
Put her on the list now. It's
damn.
It's interesting.
Well, we missed y'all yesterday. Whether you're listening on 1080 The Fan or watching on the YouTubes, youtube.com/1080am The Fan. We already have T-Diz in the chat. He's saying, who's the gray? Before the show, our fearless leader, Jeff Sacramento, was in here, and he was talking to us. He's a silver fox. He's got the silver hair.
Huh.
It's a great head of hair. So if you ever see a guy gray hair pop in, that's him. That's him. We have pop-ins randomly during this program. Isaac usually is making some sort of gesture that is not suitable for families.
No, definitely not.
I have screenshots of several of them.
Yes.
Stuke usually manages to pull one of those off too.
No, he does it outside the window, and then
it's verbal where you guys can't hear it. It's off air.
Turns his back to cameras, and then all of a sudden starts cussing up a storm. Yes. Yeah, we get drop-ins quite often during the show.
Sales guys will pop in here, accounting will pop in here.
So if you have any questions on that, leave them in the chat. YouTube.com/1080am The Fan or Twitch, where Jeff Rust, he's in charge of the Twitch chat.
Also, my God,
false.
Not true.
I looked up the couples that met on set. It is a long list.
Oh, yeah.
Lasnik, he says Tim Robbins, Susan Sarandon. That's a good one.
That was back in the old Bull Durham days.
Durham.
Yep.
Rob McElhenney and Caitlin Olsen.
Yep.
That's another one.
They were stooping. They got a great story behind that. They were in secret stooping on Always Sunny in Philadelphia set, and nobody knew. And they showed up one day, and both of them were like really hungover.
And everybody was
and they're like, Wait a minute.
Both of you? Really?
Wait a minute.
Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem.
Man, I'm indifferent on that one.
I just didn't know about that one.
I didn't even know either.
Eva Mendes and Ryan Gosling.
I knew that one. That's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, they're still together?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Lively and Ryan Reynolds on Green Lantern of all movies.
Well,
so
at least
something
he got something out of it.
something good came out of that.
That may be like the only thing he's flopped in. Like, my son is big on the Pokemon, so we watched that Pikachu movie. It was pretty good.
It's not bad.
It was
Pikachu.
funny.
Yeah.
It was funny. They had a lot of adult humor that went right over the kids' heads.
Oh, yeah.
That was okay. If you can get over the 7-year-old boy just yelling every Pokemon that he sees on TV in the name of it, and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You know what a Mewtwo was?
No, I didn't.
Is that the button on the TV that turns the sound off?
Yeah, it was just.
It's the second one.
It was a lot, man.
Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, Overboard.
Yeah. Filmed in Oregon. Filmed in Oregon.
Takes
place in Oregon.
Okay.
Not filmed in Oregon.
In the fictional town of, I believe, Elk Cove.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I didn't know that. That was nice. You did the film in Oregon? ?
I didn't know. I knew Oregon was in it. That's like Stand By Me.
Yeah, I think there might be parts of it shot in Oregon, but it wasn't. At least I know it wasn't entirely so.
I can't remember if it was set in Oregon, but they did the Ice Cube movie. Are We There Yet? I think was filmed in Newburgh.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Filming location, Newport, Oregon for
okay.
Overboard.
Well,
yeah.
I thought there was some Washington in there too, but
we got Fort Bragg, Mendocino, San Pedro Bay.
Are We Done Yet? Not Are We There?
Are we done yet?
Yeah.
Are we? That's a whole different movie than Are We There Yet?
that makes sense for Newburgh.
Are we done?
Are we done here yet?
Are we done yet? Can we just get on out of here? All right. Any other good ones that you found?
The couples, there's a lot of them. The one that I was surprised was the Rose Leslie and Kit Harington, the redhead from Game of Thrones.
I have no idea who either of those
Yeah,
people
you do.
Yeah,
Jon Snow.
and Jon Snow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jon Snow and the Wildling, the redhead the sex scene that's in that. He ended up.
I think throughout that whole
That's been a
series,
really good scene.
Yeah,
It's been a great scene.
I think throughout that whole series, there's about 4 characters I can actually name.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no. Sean Bean was easily the biggest name.
Yeah,
actor.
he died in what? How many
Season 1.
episodes in? Yeah,
that?
Yeah, episode 8.
something like that. Good old Ned Stark.
Ned Stark.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys have to tell me their character
that,
names.
and
then I'll-
Lena Headey.
Cersei.
Yes, that everybody else made their names in the show.
Daenerys Targaryen. That's the other.
Amelia Clark.
Yeah.
But nobody
Well-
knew who they were before the show.
Oh, I was just talking the character names, not even
Oh,
the
yeah.
actors. Yeah, but yeah, there's like 4.
Nicholas Walder something is
Sure.
Jamie Lannister.
Well, and Peter Dinklage, obviously,
Yes.
he had his name before.
Yeah.
Before Game of Thrones,
Okay,
but
so maybe there's like 6 I could name.
but I mean, there wasn't a ton of like I said, Sean Bean was easily the most famous of all of them beforehand.
All right.
Which is super weird. Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. Who
Yeah.
had multiple things they were in.
But that was problematic because they met on that 70s show when she was 15.
and she lied.
Yeah.
Yeah, she lied about her age.
Well, that's the thing is like he didn't know immediately.
Yeah, who'd
and she's even said that her first kiss ever was him, like on that show.
have thunk it that wouldn't be the problematic relationship, but Danny Masterson.
I'm not sure what we would call
He
what
would be
Danny Masterson
problematic.
did relationships.
Well, no, I said problematic.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, problematic relations. Problematic relations.
Oh,
How about we go there?
Hey, speaking of problematic relationships, Will and Jada Pinkett Smith.
Okay.
They met auditioning for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, we know how that went. All right. Well, I'm glad we went through this.
There's a lot, man. I was genuinely surprised how many there are.
Well, I'm taken, so don't think you're gonna meet me on set and we're gonna get hitched there, Danny. All right. You too, Rust.
Yeah. It's a good thing there's this glass between us.
That's
I
right.
tell you what.
Oh, the most wholesome of them all. Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr.
Oh, of course. I have no idea. Oh, were they on?
Was I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Ding, 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 ding,
That's
ding,
it.
ding, ding, ding.
That's the one. That's the one. Okay, and that's wholesome. Let's just make this clear. I Know What You Did Last Summer is where Danny goes, the wholesome one of all of these. Like
it's those
the
two.
wholesome love story here
Yeah.
of I know what you did last summer.
But she was also murdering vampires. So,
See?
you know,
Also,
fighting for the powers of good instead of evil.
did you
The
know?
wholesome one.
Did you know
murder?
Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst were married?
No, I don't know who Jesse Plemons is.
You will
Dude
as soon as
from
you see him.
Breaking Bad, and
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Oh. He plays a grade A-hole
In
perfectly.
so many things.
He is really good. Breaking Bad, he was one of the worst human beings ever.
He's so good at it.
Like, even bad guys were like, he's not a good person.
I don't want anything to do with this cat.
All right. Well, we're back today. I've got a question for y'all coming out of this weekend, and we're gonna have to revisit this at another point in the show. But top 5 ego boosts for you personally, like when you do something, you're like, damn, that feels good. Like that was good. That I'm rewarded now because I had one, and I believe this to be true. A home improvement or repair, not using the aid of YouTube, just being like, I got this, and then actually it working. I didn't want to go to air with it. I tweeted it out on Saturday, but I waited until today to feel really comfortable because it's been over 48 hours now. I think this repair is holding at this point, but it wasn't anything big either. Like I just replaced like the cartridge on our sink, you know, when on your handle of your bathroom sink. Just
okay.
it was leaky faucet.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what it was. And I said, I got this. And I went and repaired it. And I was like, I'm kind of a handyman now. You know? Like I had that feeling like I
Call
can,
me for any of your home plumbing needs.
I can fix stuff. And then promptly I was thrown a list of things where I was like, nah, I can't do that.
Can't touch that. Yeah.
Hey, I'm not. What do you think? I was serious there? I'm not Builder Bob over here. I fixed a sink, damn it. But for that moment, I felt it was a big ego boost to have that. So think of it. Rack your head around the ego boost that you get from small accomplishments in life. Because doing a home repair without the help of YouTube, and YouTube is glorious for really anything you want to do, including breaking into your car, which I feel is problematic. But you can like YouTube how to break into your car. And there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Buddy, you don't have any idea how good I am with a coat hanger.
Can we go to break?
Yeah. Yeah. I just like to remind the people that texted in when Danny was gone, we need Danny back to keep things on the rails.
Whoa.
Okay.
Just took a left turn at Albuquerque
Yeah, we
right there.
did. Yeah, we did. All right. Hey, it turns out they were right. But so much was wrong with All-Star Weekend. Danny Dusty on the Fan.
this, you know it's going to be pretty loose. You're going to get your opportunities. Being in the starting lineup, I knew I'd play longer stretches, get more minutes. And I just told myself I'm gonna be aggressive and I'm going to keep firing. I saw a couple go in, and after that, it was just like I'm going after it. So that was it.
Damian Lillard, 39 points, All-Star Game MVP. What a weekend for Dame. He defends his three-point crown, wins the All-Star Game MVP as a starter, and it turns out all those people saying Dame will get all of his credit once he leaves Portland were right.
Yeah, it turns out
That's
going
sad.
to a team with an MVP and a recent title and a chance to win a title, you get more attention. Almost like it doesn't matter the market that you're in. And it hasn't mattered the market that you're in for 20 years.
But Dame also gets his MVP in his three-point competition in what is largely being discussed as the biggest letdown of an All-Star weekend ever. When Steph and Sabrina were really the highlight of Saturday night in a lot of people's eyes. Dunk contest it's lost its luster. It's been gone for a while. Three-point shootout was good, and Dame won, and that was great to see. But it was the skills challenge. I still don't understand what they're trying to do there. I still don't understand what they're trying to do there.
I have no problem with skills challenge. Any of the competitions.
I don't have a problem with it either. I just want to know, give us a direction because they change it all the time.
That's part of it, but also the only team that cared was the Indiana team.
Yeah.
Was Halliburton's team. And that's the problem with All-Star Weekend, I think, in general, which we can talk about here in a bit, is that nobody really knows whether to try or not. That's the issue, because they've made it.
Ooh, that's a good point.
They've made it to where it's about like being the cool kid in high school. It's
who's to blame for this? Is it LeBron to blame for this?
It's LeBron. It is the one thing I think in his career, not doing the dunk contest, kind of laissez-faire post Kobe. Because look, say what you want about Kobe. Kobe tried in the All-Star game.
And guys like Allen Iverson, they wanted to win.
That early 2000s, the early aughts, they cared.
I think we can put a little bit of blame on LeBron, but also let's not excuse and dismiss the San Antonio Spurs and their load management that they would go to. And when they were one of the best teams in the NBA, it was a team that would be like, yeah, I mean, we're not going to.
Well, not only that, Timmy would show up for All-Star and just be like, I don't really want to play.
Yeah.
And he'd play like, Pop was the coach God knows how many times. And so he'd go out there and play like 8 minutes and he'd take like 3 bank jumpers. Early in his career, he had that one time where he ISO'd on the 3-point line and drove. But other than that, it's like, it's been dismissive because we put so much cachet on rings culture that the ring is the only thing that matters. The regular season doesn't matter. The All-Star game doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. The playoffs don't even matter. It's about the finals, and that's it. And that decentivizing so much of all the other stuff, I think, is the NBA's biggest problem. And I think this is where an opportunity right now is the league is getting ready to transition away from LeBron, Steph, as they're aging out. Instead of looking for the new star, start marketing teams. Start marketing, giving a damn. If there's one thing I love about Ant Edwards is that he does care. Like he does want to play basketball.
He got that dog in it, except for an All-Star weekend.
Which, again, is a part of the better point. But like guys like John Morant ducking the dunk contest, Zion ducking the dunk contest. Like, I love that Dame and Steph are doing the 3-point contest. Like, make that cool. Make that cool. Make it a good thing to go do. Like, why does the 3-point contest get so much, but guys are worried about getting memed in the dunk contest?
And this is it, because LeBron thought it would tarnish his legacy if he ever lost a dunk contest. If any of these young stars were to be in it, I think we learned from Jaylen Brown, you don't even have to be the best dunker. You'll get into the finals. Your name
recognition, yes.
But here we are with this being a season and an all-star game where everybody is questioning at every turn the decisions the NBA is making, whether it was the in-season tournament, which it was better.
It was a success.
It started as a question. Yeah. And then the load management rules where guys, Joel Embiid tries to play games because he wanted to be part of the MVP conversation. He ends up getting hurt even worse than he was before. It was all one of these things where it's just a pile-on effect to where you have the people of Indiana booing at the end of the All-Star game. That's how bad it was. 211 to 187.
That's too many points.
So everybody's asking now, do you just do away with it? What do you do? How do you
No.
make the All-Star game better?
I mean, All-Star Saturday had their ratings go up 54%. And you're seeing this across all sports.
Floor was cool too.
It is. Like the LED floor, I heard some people like, oh, I don't know, it's too distracting. Like, look, it's not for you. It's not for you. It's not who it's for. It's for the kids. That's their thing. And the players, for their part, kept their mouth shut about it.
Yeah.
They didn't whine and complain. They know the deal, but you know why? Because their sponsors are probably sponsoring stuff on the floor. And they know, shut up. Like, that's where the money's going to come from. But All-Star Saturday night is not the problem. Do we need to fix the dunk contest by getting actual stars in it? Yes. Do we need to get rid of Kenny Smith and Reggie Miller on the broadcast? Yes. We'll talk about Kenny and Sabrina and that whole thing, which I think is both dumb and overblown at the same time. But ratings were up. Ratings are 54%. It was almost 11 million people watched All-Star Saturday night.
It was good. But there's nothing else to watch.
But
which
is the point. Like, it capture the audience. And people will go. It's not for lack of options. So the fact they're still tuning in and actually growing, that's a good thing. Now Sunday night, they've got to fix something. And I think the biggest fix is putting real money on the line.
I have a fix for the All-Star game because I don't think with the teams built the way they are, I just don't think you're going to get guys to wholly commit this way. So I was thinking really outside the box on what the NBA could do. And you can still keep the cachet of the fan vote, the reserves being voted in. But it all comes down to you've got to put money behind it. So this just may be something completely sideways, and everybody may go, no, don't do that. But what if you still had your fan vote? You have your top vote getters, top 8 vote getters in a fan vote. They become captains. Okay. You have a random draw for 1 through 8, or heck, you could go however they finished in the voting, 1 through 8. They get to pick where they go. But you draft 3-on-3 teams. You could do teams of 4, so the 8 captains vote or a draft in a snake draft from a pool of 24 players.
3-on-3 because we're never going to get 1-on-1, which would be so much fun.
No, you go 3-on-3 where there's 4 guys on each team, but then there becomes strategy on how you draft your team because you get too many bigs, all of a sudden you're going to be shooting threes. You get too many 3-point shooters, all of a sudden you're going to have just Joel Embiid backing you down all day long.
You get dog walked back to 1992.
But then you have a 3-on-3 tournament where each round is escalating in prize money. So you win in the first round, $250,000.
Have it sponsored by NBA 2K since they already do the 3-on-3 street stuff and just do it that way.
You get to the semifinals, that's $500,000. You get to the championship, and the champion wins $1 million. So you're telling me these guys on these 3-on-3 teams, there is a purse of about $1.7 million, $1.75 million if you win this thing. And that will cost the league probably $12 million total to throw at the All-Star game as a prize purse.
Which is nothing. And here's the other thing for All-Star Saturday night. For the dunk contest, you take $5 million in cash on a pallet.
Yeah.
Throw it at center court.
Once.
Winner take all.
John Moran is in if it's once.
Winner take all.
Stack
$5 million ones. Boom. Guess who shows up then? You get Anthony Edwards. You get John Morant. You get Shaedon Sharpe. Who I still think Shea, there's an outside chance he would have done it this year had he been healthy. Personally, I was bugging the hell out of him to do it.
But I think locally we're like, yeah, get Shaedon Sharpe in. I think if you throw Shaedon Sharpe in, most of the people around the country are like, I want Mac McClung back. You know, because his name does not resonate across the NBA. You need actual stars. You need Ja, Zion. Just like, I mean, hell, like D Brown, everybody's like, when D Brown won, we were like, who?
Yeah, but see, Levine and Gordon they weren't stars. They were role players, but they were so tremendous as dunkers. And this thing is like,
but they were ascending, and everybody was talking about them even on the national shows because they were explosive.
But
way bigger profiles than Shaedon Sharpe.
AG wasn't. AG was in Orlando and he'd been in the league 3 years at that point in time. He wasn't.
Well, he was a top 5 pick, wasn't he? Wasn't he third?
Was he? I can never remember what he was in the draft. I mean, Shaedon was 7th. Like we're not.
Yeah.
We're kind of splitting hairs as far as What was Gordon third?
Fourth.
So I mean, it's the difference between the fourth pick and seventh pick. It's not like Shea was unheralded. And that's the thing is, I'm not saying this just because of Shea, but like, I think you should take the stars, take like 3 stars, and then like an up and comer. Or 2 up and comers.
Here's how you do it. You go WWE style. You put that cash in a suitcase, have
Royal
it suspended from the Jumbotron.
I like
and
it.
then once you get to the finals, the first guy that goes and dunks, he can go grab the ladder, try to climb up there. And once the other guy finishes his dunk, he can go and try and get it down.
I think Russ fixed the All-Star
There
weekend.
you go. I like it.
I think you did it.
Ladder match.
I think you did it. But I would love to see something change with, especially on Sunday, because Sunday is a mess.
The game needs to be competitive. Like, and here's me being player advocate for a second.
Player advocate.
The stuff players have to do now is not what stuff players had to do 20 years ago. Like, if you look at Damian Lillard's schedule in Indianapolis, go look at his Twitter feed. Tissot, Gatorade, Oakley, Adidas, all of this. Like, everyone's like, oh, woe is him. Look, the guy is in junkets and press deals and marketing deals and appearances all day.
Well, that's why they've pushed back the start of the second half of the season, is to allow guys to do that stuff.
And that's the thing is, like,
rather than coming back like today.
But they're doing that basically for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like go here, and then you're gonna play a game on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then he can go home and lay on his bed of $50 million a year.
and that's the thing is, like, I think they need to find a way to, like, maybe do the game first, then do the stuff after. Like do the game Saturday and do the dunk contest, 3-point contest Sunday.
You can't end with the All-Stars getting booed off the floor.
with the whimper. And that's the thing is, like, and like, just to put in perspective, like, Scoot, they Blazers play the game against Timberwolves. We go in and do the post-game media availability. And I'm talking to Blazers PR, and they're like, all right, we're going to head out of here.
This was Thursday night.
I go, well, what time do you guys take off in the morning? He's like, the morning? He goes, we're going to the airport right now. We're going to land at 6 in the morning. Ooh, Scoot's at practice at like 8 in the morning. And then he's making a media appearance at 9. So it's like, holy crap. Like, it is just go. And I think that the marketing part of it, which you have to do, they have to strike some balance to get players to give a damn again.
Money.
Which
that's it.
I agree. I think that's ultimately the way we do this.
It was cool, though, to see you had Dame win the MVP, win the 3-point contest. And other than that, it was a kind of a letdown of All-Star weekend. But we now push on and we have bigger things to focus on second half of the season. All right, hey, Beavs and Cougs got what they want. Now the people get what they want. That After Us with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. Their butchers are all trained chefs, eager to help with cooking advice. Get to know your friendly neighborhood butcher online at laurelhurstmarket.com. First on The Fan, we now know how the 12-team college football playoff will look. The Board of Managers have unanimously approved a model that will guarantee the 5 highest-ranked conference champions a spot, along with the next 7 highest-ranked teams. Neither Oregon State nor Washington State can qualify as conference champions, but they can qualify for the at-large bids. Patriot special teamer Matthew Slater has announced his retirement after 16 seasons. Slater's the son of Hall of Fame offensive lineman Jackie Slater. He holds the NFL record for most special teams Pro Bowl appearances with 10. And after watching former teammate Damian Lillard take home the All-Star Game MVP and a second straight 3-point shootout title, the Trailblazers start the second half of the season Friday night, hosting the Nuggets. Portland 15-39 on the season, the 5th worst record in the league. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino is the place to watch and wager on pro and college games every week. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan.
Want a job that makes a difference? Join the TriMet team and help keep the Portland area moving.
Before we get to the college football playoff expansion news, big shout outs to the Oregon State Beavers women's team. How about that win over UCLA?
Big
3
time.
at the buzzer.
I'll tell you this, man. Oregon State basketball has found a way to really go out with a bang here down the stretch of the last year of the Pac-12.
The men's or women's?
Both. They both had some absolutely insane games over the last couple weeks.
Yeah. College basketball is in a weird spot on the men's side.
It's a tire fire.
But the women are climbing up the poll to 9th, I think, is where they're at now. I think in the women's top 25. And the Pac-12 men's basketball is just, it's atrocious. Nobody can figure it out except for Washington State basketball. How about both the Beavs and the Cougs? You got the Beavs on the women's side, the Cougs on the men's side. That Washington State team is going to be scary. They are big. They play really good defense. They are now finally starting to get a little bit of that credit that they deserve.
They're 20-6 now, and Ken Palm has them as number 34, which the difference, Washington State, and the difference between 34 and 16 is next to nothing.
Not much.
Yeah.
But that was a hell of a win for the Oregon State women. I was pulled for the Beavs women's basketball team because Scotty Rook, Glencoe High grad.
There you go.
Yeah. And was a hell of a left fielder, slow pitch softball. But he is. I played slow pitch softball with him when he was a coach at George Fox. he's fast. They did follow it up with a loss to USC. But that win against UCLA, that's the one you hang your hat on because you beat, at that point, that's your third ranked win in a row after beating Colorado, or Utah, Colorado, and then UCLA. They're playing really good basketball.
And against USC, they held freshman phenom Juju Watkins. I think she was like 6 of 32.
Jail.
Now, she still ended up with like a near triple-double, if I remember right, but it was
not bad.
They made her work.
Okay.
So,
well, we have big news out of the world of college football as the College Football Playoff Committee has voted unanimously, which they needed to do, to approve the 5-7 model for the college football playoff, expanding this year to 12 teams. Remember, this was a big bone of contention because of the fact that when they approved the 12-team playoff, they said we're going to go 6-6. So is your top 6 highest ranked conference champions and then 6 at-large bids. Well, the Pac-12 dissolves, and everybody's like, well, we should probably go to 5-7, right? 5 conference champions, 5 highest ranked conference champs, and then 7 at-large bids. Oregon State, and namely Washington State's president Kirk Schultz, were the ones holding it up, and rightfully so. Like, they should hold it hostage in any negotiations moving forward because they don't want to be left behind. But what they did today was they approved a 5-7 model, and Oregon State and Washington State were like hanging on to the fact that, hey, we'll stay at 6-6 here, and we'll see where the dust settles. Well, the college football playoff was like, well, you guys don't even qualify as a conference because you only have 2 teams.
Yeah, it turns out the math on that is not mathing very hard.
So you wouldn't be able to go anyways. And then this is from Dennis Dodd, where he is reporting that Oregon State and Washington State received a few $1 million extra in the next 2 years in order to kind of get this vote. And they said, hey, over the next 2 years, you will be able to get the college football playoff payouts, which is around $5 to $6 million per school, which is good money to have.
Sure.
But everybody agreed on that. That got the vote. They're not hanging anything up. And it actually kind of behooves them now that they're saying you need 8 teams to be a conference champ. See Notre Dame. Notre Dame can't do it either. So you wouldn't be in that the 5 or 6 highest ranked conference champs either. Mm-hmm. So it makes a ton of sense moving forward for Oregon State and Washington State.
Yeah, it was. Were they going to contest it? Was I think the kind of the question. But the more you looked at it, I was like, I don't think they can.
But they wanted extra money. They got it. Yeah. And that's exactly why you do this. But
now you try to string it out for the 2 years until you get into the new deal. And if you're lucky, you land in a conference.
And you can start roping other teams in, hopefully.
But you need the money behind you to progress the program to have an opportunity to get pulled into a conference.
That's right.
So It's a chicken or the egg kind of situation, but they solved it by saying it's the egg.
And this is another reminder, though, with the way that Oregon State and Washington State were told, like, 2-team conference, you got to have 8 to be recognized as a FBS conference.
They bring additional value.
Moving forward, Notre Dame, they will not get a bye.
No.
Ever.
Dun, dun, dun,
In the
dun.
12-team playoff. Because they're an independent. And so no matter what, no matter how well they do in their hybrid ACC schedule, they will never be considered a conference champion. So even if they're ranked number 1 by the College Football Playoff Committee, they'll be the 5 seed and not be one of the 4 teams that gets a bye.
And how much do you think that's going to make them want to join a conference?
You better start thinking about it.
They're Big Ten bound.
Maybe.
I know the SEC might reach up in there to try to steal from Big Ten country, but
or they go and they're the calming force of ACC realignment. When Florida State leaves, they say, "Okay, we can now have our
tying yourself
seat
to the
at the
ACC
table."
sounds like a bad idea, though.
They've already done it.
You're right. They already have it, at least tangentially.
Yeah, but they can never get a first round bye. So they could host a whole heck of a lot of games, which I think is going to be really cool. But now College Football Playoff has got their format moving forward, and this is what we can expect moving forward. Well, until maybe the ACC dissolves, and then it'll be 4+8 instead.
Which, that sounds about right.
Coming out of these meetings, though, too, is the Big Ten and SEC. Apparently, they're squeezing, saying, we want bigger pieces of the pie. We want more.
I mean,
more. And
let's go ahead and take a look real quick at the national title game. What conferences did they come from?
Look at the entire Final Four this year.
As I should say, at the championship game, the Final Four.
The entire Final Four is from the Big Ten and SEC moving forward.
So, and I would expect that it's going to be that way with the exception of some upstart years.
What I enjoy, though, is that although it will, make no mistake, this will be Big Ten and SEC dominated, there is an opportunity for a team like, I just go back to that Stanford team that won the Rose Bowl, or Orange Bowl rather, with Andrew Luck.
Yeah, there's those opportunities that'll pop up.
They were playing like the best team in all of college football at the end of the year. And they did not get a seat at a 2-team playoff. And we have teams that do this, but they don't get a seat at a 4-team playoff. See Florida State,
Look, we had TCU a year ago, which everybody's like, oh, they got killed in the championship game. Guess what they did the week before? That Michigan team that was in the national title this year, they stunted on.
Beat them.
And that's the thing is like the one thing I love about college is that the best team doesn't always win. It's the best team that day.
And here's the thing. I wonder, though, if you are like a UW fan and looking at the way that a 12-team playoff, you have to play one more extra game. The level that Michael Penix was beat up in those high leverage games, it would have had to go from conference championship game into that. They would have had a first round bye, so they have a week off. But then you have the quarterfinal, semifinal, final, and that would have been. It's a war of attrition, and we're going to see which teams are the deepest are the ones that are going to win it. And it's lightning in a bottle. You may strike in that first week, but those teams that are the deepest are going to be able to make these deep runs.
But I still think you might have an NCAA tournament run.
Dude, it'd be awesome.
Every year you're going to have like one team where you're going to go, oh God, it's just not going to be chalky.
Wins a couple games and throws everything out.
But it throws the entire bracket off.
I'm here for it.
Yes.
And I'm here for hosting games on sites. It's going to be so fun.
We want more volatility. We do. It's just that simple.
Yeah. But the big thing for the Beavs and the Cougs, you got a extra little change in your pocket there. $5 to $6 million each year coming out of the next 2 years for the college football playoff. That helps you survive as you try to rebuild the Pac-12 conference. All right, the petting never stops. The signal has been sent. What does it mean? Next. Saturday, 1080 The Fan invites you to play in the inaugural Fan Winter Golf Classic at X Golf Tualatin and X Golf Vancouver. It is Tuesday. That's a week from today, February 27th. We just opened up 2 threesomes for the 4 p.m. round at X Golf Tualatin. Noon rounds are filling up fast. You can also choose from either event, noon or 4 p.m. at X Golf Vancouver as well. You and I will be out broadcasting live at X Golf Vancouver. Isaac and Suk at the live broadcast in Tualatin. We got 2 rounds at each location, noon and 4 p.m. Winning threesome will get a free foursome in this summer's 10th annual Fan Golf Classic. And the last place threesome, they get a free lesson at X Golf because you're not very good. There's going to be food for our golfers, Victorico's Mexican Food, Pearl Catering, Urban Restaurant Group, all going to be out there, and all golfers will play the historic Pebble Beach golf course in the state-of-the-art simulators. Go to 1080thefan.com right now for more information and to sign your threesome up right there, 1080thefan.com. Go do it. It's going to be a great time.
No,
a week from today.
You kidding me? I'm stoked. Other than the fact that I have to drive an hour and 20
I
minutes.
feel like I need to get my golf clubs out, but I probably won't between now and then.
I keep them in the car.
Yeah?
I keep that thing on me.
Yeah, I do in the summer, but not in the winter months.
I know. I
and
passed like
whatnot.
4 driving range, including X Golf Tualatin.
Hey, look
on
at
the,
that.
on the way home.
So you can just stop in
It's always
whenever.
like, do I want to?
You never know.
And I get a little urge every now and then.
You never know.
Get the sticks out.
Justin Fields has unfollowed the Chicago Bears on his social medias.
I
Petty Olympics are starting.
I feel like this is the dumbest thing in sports. Not particularly Justin Fields, but the whole. Remember, Debo did this before he got his contract.
Oh, yeah.
This is the new thing to do. Oh my God, he unfollowed him on Instagram. Like,
It's like, how dare the
cares?
Chicago Bears look at Caleb Williams as their starting quarterback? How dare they with the
what
number
would be
1 overall
funny
pick?
is if a team wanted to get rid of a player and they unfollowed the player.
I saw his dog also unfollowed the Bears. So it's
Wow.
not just Justin. His dog is in this too, who has an Instagram account.
I immediately like Justin Fields even less. So dumb.
What?
So dumb.
If you can monetize your pets, it's just an additional
Income stream.
form of income. Let's go.
But this whole idea of like that somehow this matters. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter. There's the flip side of this is like Sauce Gardner and Brandon Ayuk follow each other now on IG. Sauce Gardner came out and was like, guys, don't read into this. I follow a lot of people.
And well, he did also say though that Brandon Ayuk is a guy who's getting attention and still finds a way to get open and just doesn't get the
Yeah.
ball.
It's super weird that like Sauce is now the guy that like doesn't just chirp, but like has like real talking points of like, hey, actually Ayuk is pretty good and still finds a way to get the ball.
Well, and he's signing his tweets GM Sauce, which
Yeah.
I'm here for.
Go
go ahead, dude.
Yeah, let's say he's out there stirring the pot, but it's like it's not hot takey. It's backed in substance.
What he wants to do though is he's going down the NBA roads. This is how LeBron's playbook. What Sauce is doing is you just compliment all the guys that
Late
eventually
GM.
you want to come and play with you. New York is a lot easier than Cleveland when LeBron started it, but then he went to
true.
Miami and
But you
LA.
plant
and
seeds
found a way
early,
to
man.
do it.
Sauce is in what, year 2? You're going into year 3?
He can do it.
Yeah, it's a good time to do it. The NFL career is a little bit shorter, especially at corner. That's a short shelf.
That's right.
Short shelf life.
So go ahead, GM the you know what out of this
Yeah.
thing. Let's go. But every time it happens, I roll my eyes and be like, who is the one that is saying this is the good idea? Unfollowing somebody on
it's a part of the agent
Instagram and
playbook now.
social media is how we drive our point home. Because guess what a lot of these guys end up doing? Refollowing the team again.
As soon as I get the contract.
And you just seem like a petulant child, and it doesn't look good for you. Like the agent's like, yeah, this is we're gonna drum up the conversation. It doesn't make you look good. Because when you have a guy like Justin Fields,
I'm unhappy without coming out and saying I'm unhappy.
Well,
so you don't get the tarnish of I'm unhappy publicly saying it, even though you are.
we all know what it means.
But
you haven't done enough to. None of these guys that do it have ever done enough
Debo
to warrant this attention that they draw. And Debo Samuel, even at that time, I mean, he was really good.
He hadn't had that year yet.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah, I mean, he was really good and really important to them, but it was still one of those eye roll things. And guess where he's still playing now?
This is where I love guys like
San Francisco.
like Mike Conley, who just signed a new 2-year, $21 million deal. He's like, I'm getting old. I'm just going to take the money. I'm not going to complain about it.
He's made bajillions of dollars. How
That's
much
the
is
NBA,
Mike Conley?
150.
150
in his career. Yeah.
including the 21 that he just signed for.
Yeah, so it's
So
170.
he'll be at $171 million.
Not bad for a guy we thought was riding Greg Oden's coattails.
See, this is one of the things where everybody's like ring culture. There's also a lot of guys just collecting just massive paychecks every single year in the NBA.
Which, I mean, and also in MLB. Maybe we'll slide in
That's what you
some
should do.
Anthony Rendon.
I'm all for it.
Did you see what he said this weekend?
Yes, I did.
It was.
There's
There's some stuff there, man.
pretty damning.
Yeah,
But it's also one of the things that
it's
you
honest.
go, I get it.
I don't know if it's damning as much as it's honest. Maybe
All right.
we'll find a way to work that in.
We'll get to Rendon coming up a little later in the show. We're going to start out number 2, though. Is it the team or the channel? The NBA is wondering. You can text us, the Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326, or in the comment section on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/1080am the fan. This is Danny and Dusty. All right, hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Tuesday afternoon. We got a lot that we need to get to. We have Anthony Rendon conversation. How much should they care? We got college basketball coaches, Hall of Famers getting all pissy. It's glorious.
Across the board, nobody in college basketball is happy.
And they shouldn't.
Find me a happy, let's just say, in men's college basketball. You find me a happy coach.
I was going to say Dan Hurley.
Even then, he was pissy before.
Yeah, he's a Hurley.
Yeah.
He is a Hurley.
Huh.
So I strike that from the record. Mark Few, no, he's also very upset.
Also never been happy.
College basketball coaches, they don't nearly get enough credit for how big of
surly
red
they are?
asses
Yeah.
they are. We always look at college football coaches and it's like, yeah, they're all upset. Look at Nick Saban. No, college basketball coaches, if you go down the line, most of them are colossal a-holes.
Yes. Enormous, even.
Ooh. Well, no, he even got upset this weekend. Kelvin Sampson. Kelvin Sampson has always been
He got
like a more
thrown out of a
cheery
game
guy.
last week.
Yeah. Yeah, just not seeing it here. Old Roy Boy being gone really brings it down because Roy Williams used to be like
Roy brings some vibes.
he was always the happiest guy, but everybody else now you kind of
The gif of him dancing into the locker room, still one of my favorites of all time.
well, he and Mac Brown have got North Carolina coaches have got the market cornered on dancing in the locker room.
Look, man, it's a good vibe in North Carolina.
Oh, one guy I'll say maybe
I don't know. John Harbaugh's was pretty good.
yeah. Randy Bennett, St. Mary's coach.
Yo.
He's a good
Yeah.
dude. He's a really good dude. Really personable guy.
Shante Leggins at UP. All vibes.
All vibes.
All vibes.
All vibes. Okay. Well, thanks for being a part of our day, whether you're listening on the Fan 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, or youtube.com/1080am the Fan, where the chat is going, and the Vancouver Ford text line is as well at 503-864-6326. Thanks for partying with us today. We've got we got to get to ego boosts still. Rendon, college basketball coaches being jerks.
TV ratings for the Trailblazers.
Well, we got that right now.
That'll be a big one.
Like that's right now.
You want to go
because-
now? Okay.
Well, yeah. Is it the team or is it the ratings? That's the big question that people are asking because the NBA released this is not good. Their viewership for their television, and it's not good because the Blazers have dropped, according to this, 49%, according to Sports Business Journal. Dropping 49% is they've lost half their viewers this year. And Portland is averaging, far less viewers. And look, this is the big question. What is to blame for people not watching the Blazers this season? Is it Root Sports, which I'm going to be completely honest, if I did not have to watch the Blazers games in every single one as part of my job, I wouldn't have gotten the extended Root Sports package because of the expectations of this team this year. They went up to a premium pricing to get Root Sports, which I don't even know what other channels I got by getting Root
Getting
Sports.
that package, yeah.
But I don't watch them, I can tell you that damn much, because nothing has changed in my viewing except for now 734 and mainly channel 1253 on Xfinity, which is Root Sports Plus. Those are the only two channels that I watch of this extended package that I have. That's a drop. Use that. That's a good one to have, and I want that. I'm telling
want the
you,
extended package?
Mark my drop that I just made.
There you go. Of
Thank
course.
you.
Mhm. All right, let's walk through the all of this because I am intimately familiar with it because I was at the last TV network. So
Intimately familiar with his extended package?
yeah, that part of it.
That I want all of these.
Yeah. So when I was at NBC Sports, we were up for the new TV deal. And I got word through the process about 6 months out that NBC was probably not going to get it because the
6 months out, I could have told you that 3 years.
well, I mean, there was still a flicker of hope that hey, maybe there's going to be something there.
Yeah.
And the biggest part of this, and this remains true today, the Trailblazers wanted to be in more households. And the deal with Root, regardless of how you feel, and keep in mind, this is not me carrying water for the organization. I lost my job because of them going with Root.
Job.
No, at that point it was my job.
I was gonna say you're like Dominican Lou from those SNL sketches where you had like 8 jobs.
Yeah, no, I had solely moved to just doing that at that point in time. But I lost that job because they made a deal that got them more dispersal, got them a broader audience, put them in more households, significantly more. No matter how you feel about Root, that is unequivocally factual. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They are in more households with Root than they were with Comcast.
Absolutely, they are.
Period, point blank. I don't care how you feel otherwise.
Initially, but what about now with the upcharge?
with the rate hike? So that was their goal, was to get in that realm. Then their streaming options are held up by Root. That's control. That is controlled by Root, not the Trailblazers, and who they negotiate with. They tried to do the over-the-air antenna thing. I can't remember that company. They tried with a couple months, and then the company like went under. But the Blazers kind of saw like, okay, we need to find some other alternative here to keep things going. Now you get the rate hike, and that comes on, which this is not any inside knowledge or anything like that, but where it came from, being Comcast, I would feel that was pretty strongly retaliatory for said decisions to not proceed with NBC.
That's how a lot of these big business transactions work.
Yes.
Even though Comcast at the time was trying to sell off all of their regional sports networks.
But it's money out of their pocket.
Yep.
And it's a substantial amount of money out of their pocket. Okay. Now going down that path, this is not excusing the Blazers, but they didn't have a whole lot of heads up on that deal. Why? Because it's Comcast. It's not Root Sports. It's Comcast. And with that, they had to just kind of adjust with it. They got about a couple day heads up of what was coming.
That's brutal. And this whole thing has been brutal for the fans, because even the ones that would be willing to go through the rebuild and watch a majority of these games, and they're now saying no. And this is the thing, is that when you look at 49% drop in viewership on television, is massive. 1.9%. That's the drop in attendance.
That's the thing.
So it's not as much as the Blazers just
it's access right now, and just talking to people within the organization and talking to people around the league, and that what they've seen in attendance drop has not mirrored what you've seen around the league around rebuilds. Like when the Thunder hit their rebuild with Paul George being traded out and Russell Westbrook traded out, they cratered in attendance.
I remember watching like one of the first Blazers trips there.
It's a ghost town.
It was brutal. It was like watching one of those games in Miami on like a Sunday afternoon where nobody shows up until the third quarter.
No, it was a ghost town. So it hasn't matched. And so what's going to end up happening is one more year next season with Root Sports, they are not going to renew the deal with Root Sports. That is not going to happen. You have one more year on the books. But here's what I think is very, 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 very likely. There's ways and opt-outs and changes within contracts that the Trailblazers can opt to buy back inventory, which if I were a betting man, the organization, they're not dumb to this. Like, they've looked for other solutions. When the new TV deal comes out, which I would strongly suggest is probably going to be this summer, going forward post-Root, it's going to have an over-the-air option.
And this is the thing, is you've seen the biggest gains in viewership. The Denver Nuggets up 139%, defending champions. Minnesota,
and they have the worst TV deal in the league.
Like half their
more than half.
This
can't watch
them.
Yeah.
Timberwolves up 107%.
Oh, weird, winning.
Best team in the West, but 94% rise in the Phoenix Suns.
Which again, they're winning, but over the air. And the Utah Jazz, even though they've reset, theirs is up too.
They go up 94%, and you say over the air. Remember, Matt Ishbia, he said, we're not doing this. They went to a local television station that carries all of their games.
The same company that owns Coin is the same one that did
Nexstar.
I believe it's Nexstar is the one they did the deal with in Phoenix.
So think like that is going to be, and when you say buy back the inventory, so what they'll do with the Blazers, if that is an option here, and what they will likely do this offseason, you buy those games from Root and you say, hey, we know we want to buy half
Yeah, say,
of the games.
Say we'll buy 41 games.
41 games.
and
We buy them back and then we sell them to the
Coin,
television
Fox, KGW, some over CW, some over the air provider. And if you looked over the last year, the Blazers have shown a willingness to work with CW, to work with Fox.
Well, CW carries the remix.
Yep. No, Fox 12 Plus.
Or Fox 12 Plus carries the remix games.
CW has had negotiations and talks with.
Did they do a preseason game last year?
I believe that was the case. I'm losing track of all the ones they've worked with.
But KGW in the past.
Again, those are established relationships that are there. I would be shocked if going into next season that the Blazers did not have some sort of answer to this, because again, I will say this without saying, sources say, I've talked to people high up in the organization. They are not thrilled with the way things have gone. They know fans are irritated. They know like literally thousands of fans are illegally streaming games or using VPNs and League Pass, and like they get it. They, as much as you want to be mad at Jody Allen, you want to be mad at the organization, they have flat out told me they get the frustration and they are not going to go into next season and allow the status quo to keep going.
And this is, again, what many teams across the league face.
Yes.
I mean, hell, the Dodgers were in this for the longest time down in LA. The Nuggets are living in that right now.
Post-championship.
It is something that,
with a network that is owned by the owner of the team,
a lot of ownership groups, they have a big issue with.
Yes.
And so you can't put it solely on Jody Allen's shoulders. There's a lot you can. There's a lot with this organization you can.
Look, the whole Root versus NBC Comcast deal 3 years ago, was the deal bad? Yes, it could have been worse. That's the point. They signed it as short as they could with the earliest out they could. Remember, the last deal was 7 years.
Yeah,
that's an eternity.
It's a long time
in TV contracts, especially in that era. And here's the other thing about this, and this isn't to like gas up the Blazers. There's 3 different times over the last 5 years that the team went to the NBA during all of these processes to try to find an over-the-air option. The league said no.
Really?
The league said no.
Why would the league say no to that?
Because they still wanted the money that was guaranteed from TV rights deals.
That's crazy.
So via cable service providers or whatever you want to call it. So the Blazers, when Paul Allen was still alive, was the first time. 2015, I believe, was the first time. They revisited it again in 2018, and I think it was post-COVID 2021 was the last time they tried to find something.
Is Portland the only damn city that you could say, hey, in-arena's better than the TV experience, even though our broadcast crew is awesome.
The Blazers broadcast crew is universally...
Casey, Lamar, and Brooke are great. I mean, but it's like 1.9% dip in attendance, but 49% on TV. It's like that counters every single trend in sports right now.
Oh, look, and the Kraken ownership announced this weekend that they're already looking at getting out of Root because they're aware of the impending issues as it pertains to Root and the Mariners ownership. There's a chance Root goes the way of Comcast/NBC here very quickly. So, long story short, the Blazers know that people are pissed. And they know that the combination of the team going away from Dame and the rate hike that, again, they are not responsible for. Like, I'm not carrying the Blazers organization's water. I'm just telling you flat out, they don't want it to be more expensive. Like this idea is like, yes, it's our money grab, but we get none of it. Like the Blazers don't see any of that money, guys. If you're gonna be mad at somebody, be mad at them.
Be mad at them.
Be mad at the cable providers. That's where it's coming from. But going into next season, don't be surprised if a large portion of games or some offering is presented via over the air or / streaming.
That'd be better. I really am interested though. YouTube.com/1080am the fan. Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. Why are you not watching the Blazers? Is it Root or is it that the team's just not good? Coming up next, let's get into that Rendon conversation. Anthony Rendon, boy, kind of opened up a lot of eyes, but it actually makes more sense. Next on the Fan. For all of the fans of professional sports that go out there and say, hey, he doesn't care about the game, Anthony Rendon is here to tell you, no, not really. Angels third baseman said baseball's never been a top priority for him, and he plays a sport to make a living. He only does like the hardest thing in all of sports to make his living, which is pretty incredible, and he's really damn good at it. But he said, this is a job. I do this to make a living. My faith, my family come first before this job. So if those things come before it, I'm leaving. And it was a dose of honesty from professional athletes that I think, like, we all sit there and we look at them, and you look at how much they get paid and how front and center they are with their stardom, and you go, you should care. It should be your top priority. It's not. It's just like everybody else. That
nobody
human.
else's job is their top priority in life. I mean, for some people it is.
But I think that's a separator for guys like, LeBron.
The Kobe's and MJs and LeBrons, the Brady's, and all of them have varied personal lives that have had issues, certainly.
No doubt
Some
about it.
significantly worse than others. But also, you've been in locker rooms and you know this. This is not to pop the bubble here. This is not an uncommon thought.
Not at all.
At all, what Anthony Rendon said. And he's prickly with reporters to begin with, but he just doesn't care in the sense of not about not playing, but about how he's perceived. There's a sense of relief and confidence in how he talks to media. It's not rude. It's very blunt and honest. And there's a part where he says, "Do you think I enjoy being injured? Do you think I enjoy having to go under the knife and like not being able to bend over and pick up my kids? Like, do you think I enjoy missing the game? It's like not fun. No, like that. I don't want to do that, but I'm doing it because it's my job. But if you're asking me to do more than that, no, I'm not willing to put my family above this. I'm not willing to put my friends. I'm not willing to put that other stuff above this. Is it a priority for me? Yes. It's just not the priority.
And I think like when like guys like Rendon, who gets a $245 million contract back in 2019.
And he's been injured.
He's not played half of the seasons in any of them. Heck, he's played like a third of the games in most of these seasons.
He's the Ben Simmons of Major League Baseball.
And I think that upsets fans when they hear him say, it's not my top priority. Well, at the same time, this is an Angels problem. Maybe you should take this up with Artie Moreno in the Angels organization, who gave him the $254 million deal back in 2019, because you have to know that if you're investing that kind of money, what you are getting yourself into. And like you said, majority of guys, it is not their top priority, just like every other human being on this planet who has a family and says, no, my family is my top priority. Or like Rendon said, my faith is my top priority. And he's going to get crushed for it. But like Dwayne says in the YouTube chat here, what about what Giannis said? I mean, I think that in Giannis All-Star Weekend said he doesn't watch basketball.
Look,
they don't have time to.
I'll keep it local. Shaden Sharp, when I was talking to him last year, it was funny. Dave and I were joking back and forth about Shaden doesn't know anybody in the league because he doesn't watch basketball. Now, Dame's a lunatic and watches basketball away from his games. If he's not playing, he's watching it or working on it. But it was kind of funny because it's just, that's normal. For what, like, Shaden doesn't like, they asked about who the starters were for Memphis, and he said Ja, dude with the muscles, Desmond Bane, but that was a rookie Shaden Sharp. He wasn't in there living it day to day to day.
But I think where Giannis kind of lost people in his comments was he was like, I love it when I go into a game and I have no idea who I'm playing and what they do. That you should know.
Yeah, maybe read the scouting report.
Yeah, you should be prepared when you go into a game.
Yeah, that's
and maybe, just maybe, that come playoff time, that may be where
don't be surprised that dude that comes off the bench, you're like, oh, he can shoot when he hits 2 corner threes on you when you just look at him.
But I think that a lot of these guys, they get caught up just so granular in, I've got to get from today to tomorrow. And how do I get to tomorrow? When you have an 82 game season, you're going through the ringer of travel, and travel in the NBA or any sport is not easy, man. These guys go on the road, and you're sleeping in hotels, you're in airports, your routines are all out of whack. It is not easy, and sometimes it's long days. I mean, you were talking about earlier Scoot, and when he got to All-Star Weekend, they played on Thursday night. He had to practice at 8 a.m. in Indianapolis on Friday morning. And then it was go from that to the Rising Stars Challenge. And then that's a tough turnaround for any person to do. He's 20 and you can bounce back pretty quickly then, but it's still not easy.
No, and it's just go all the time. And we talk about this between good players and great players and all-time players. All-time players across sports, they give up everything.
That is Tim Grover. You have the closers, which are elite, but cleaners are the ones that do everything.
Everything.
And there's very few of those guys.
And those are your generational players across the board. They are freaks. And more often than not, we talk about their greatness during their career, and then post-career we find out kind of jerks. Because that's how there's never been an all-time great nice guy. Decent guys, but they're all nasty. Every single one of them. Everyone's like, oh, LeBron's a nice guy. Do you know how many coaches that man has gotten fired or thrown on the bus or players traded? Total lives that he has changed? You think that's genuinely a nice guy? You're not good enough, bro. Get lost. Like that. People are like, Lud GM. It's like, yeah, Lud GM has changed the course and trajectory of entire careers.
You know, people are upset about Giannis and Rendon's quotes. The most egregious quote out of All-Star Weekend was from LeBron James, though. The 50-50 on the retirement tour. And he doesn't handle praise well. The man who has chosen one tattooed across his back
and a crown for his logo
is sitting there like, yeah, I don't do well with praise. Dude, you are 100% going to get that farewell tour. And it may not be you that sends out the press release for it, but it's going to happen by somebody in your entourage, and it's going to happen, dude. That was the most egregious thing said over the weekend. It wasn't Anthony Rendon. It wasn't Giannis Antetokounmpo. It was LeBron saying he's 50-50 on the farewell tour because he doesn't like
with
praise.
Like I said, the all-time greats, they're all a-holes. We all know it. We all know he wants it.
That goes back to I don't know if I want it, but I need it.
I need it.
He doesn't want it. He needs it.
Coming up next, we're going to need to see an absolutely hilarious exchange. There's something great about the blunt nature of children. But first, here's Big Gun with Sports Center Update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Enjoy some Kahlua Pig Terry Chicken and an island cocktail at Burnside, Woodstock, or order online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on The Fan, we now know how the 12-team college football playoff will look. The Board of Managers have unanimously approved a model that will guarantee the 5 highest-ranked conference champions a spot, along with the next 7 highest-ranked teams. Neither Oregon State nor Washington State can qualify as a conference champion, but they can qualify for an at-large bid. Patriots special teamer Matthew Slater has announced his retirement after 16 seasons. The son of Hall of Fame offensive lineman Jackie Slater holds the NFL record for most special teams Pro Bowl appearances with 10. And after watching former teammate Damian Lillard take home the All-Star Game MVP and his second straight three-point shootout title, the Trailblazers start the second half of the season Friday night hosting the Nuggets. Portland 15-39 on the season. That is the 5th worst record in the association. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino is the place to watch and win on pro and college games every week. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The original home of the Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays 9 to noon. 1080 The Fan. And for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
I love the brutal honesty of children. Good, bad, otherwise.
Buddy.
They don't know any better. And they will roast you both willingly and unwillingly.
I'll tell you what, they'll roast you more often than not willingly. Like, they know. They know.
It's even better when they know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I get this for my son. Hey, Dad, you remember when you lost the state championship game? Yeah, I do, bud.
Wow.
I remember that. They go for the jugular. Like, they don't mess around. They will come for everything about what makes you happy and just be like, yeah, you remember that?
They go ahead and ruin that, which
It's like, damn, son.
the NFL's TikTok account had this little exchange where Trevon Diggs and his son were just talking about his season, and his son wanted to remind him of the highlight of his season.
That was my only bad game for. Who was your guard? Terry McLaurin.
Bro, you got cooked, man, bro.
What happened?
You got cooked.
You saw it?
Yeah, bro.
What
I
he
watched
did?
the highlights. He scored 3 touchdowns on you.
And what he did?
And you was trying to tackle him, but then he just ran past you.
What was his celebration?
It was like a hug, something with the teammates.
He really scored 3 touchdowns on you? No.
Yes,
Or
bro.
one.
Bro, you trash.
Dang.
Whose side you on?
Huh?
Yeah. You was just on his side, now you turned against him. Or you
Absolutely perfect, as his son says, you got cooked and you were trash that game.
Man, whose side are you on?
Yeah.
I go through that all the time. All the time. It's the life that you live. Especially if you got a little red ass kid, which they're great to have. You want to have Trevon Diggs' kid has got that little bit of dog in
Oh,
him.
100%. Like, if it sounds like he's very young, it's because he is. You look at him, he looks like he's maybe 7. Maybe.
Yeah, that's where they get you.
And
That's about the age.
That when they start talking S?
No, it's way before that. It's way before that.
Absolutely. It's just, I love it, man. It's a wholesome cooking.
That is one that it's really hard because you're, as the father, you're like, I do a lot of things that my kid should be proud of me over. You know, I play in the NFL. He should think that's really cool. No, he's probably rooting against you a lot of the time just because he can come home and he's got some ammo in his gun holstered, ready to shoot.
Maybe this is like a young Hera picking the Lakers as his favorite team.
Yep, they do that just to go against you.
Did he pick against you in the NFL?
No, with football, it is, he's a Dolphins fan.
So
He likes Jalen Waddle.
Kind of picked against you.
He likes Jalen Waddle.
Winning the division.
Yeah, I mean, like he doesn't even know that. Like
Yeah.
he can, but he lets me know in those Patriots Dolphins matchups. But he's a big Jalen Waddle fan. He likes the
The
celebrations.
Waddle. Yeah,
He's a
Waddle.
big Justin Jefferson fan because he likes the gritty. He'll hit the
Okay.
gritty, but I don't think he's found a team yet. He just likes touchdowns.
I feel like from the sound of this, you need to get him playing some Fortnite.
No, I do not need that in my life.
I mean, he's already hitting the gritty and the waddle. Get him flossing. Do a few other Fortnite dances.
No, I don't need that.
He'll absolutely. He's at the age too where he would start playing it and he'd be like, "Hey, Dad, play with me." He would fry you.
And he's got kids. Oh yeah, he's got kids at like his buddies. They got like video game consoles and
Yeah.
stuff, and we don't have that. That is going to be. He's like.
That's coming.
You can tell he already knows what he's doing on there.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time, but I still have the ability to be like, go outside. Go.
Yeah.
You don't have anything to do in here.
you
Go
figure that out.
outside. Get your butt outside. I can't wait for that.
I remember being 5-6 years old on the Nintendo and beating my parents on Dr. Mario.
Yeah, those are the little wins in life.
That was
you
like the
always
first
remember those.
real wins, and then we moved over to the Super Nintendo and Street Fighter. One on Street Fighter, being cheesy as hell, drove my dad insane.
And I think that the Street Fighter was one that I remember that was vividly because we got the Super Nintendo. That was one of the first ones.
Oh yeah, that was the neighborhood came over to play.
And that was the first like my dad would go, I'm not playing you in this anymore. Like, why? That guy just electrocuted me.
Yeah.
I can't.
It was Blanca. That's exactly. I sat there and spammed the living hell out of it and drove my dad insane. What do you? How do you? It'll just send him completely sideways.
That's why I feel like when NCAA football comes out, like that's going to be the one.
That's
where
when you come
we
back,
get,
the humbling.
We get the console, and that's going to be the only game we have. And it's like, buddy, you better get good at this because I'm about to beat you. Because he knows. Like when I told him the All-Star game final score, 211 to 187, he's like, they didn't even score more than Georgia Tech did. He knows the 222-0 beatdown of Georgia Tech over like Cumberland's or whatever it was. I will do that to him on NCAA football.
He tried to turn it off. No. You stay here and you take this whooping.
No. You will not cross the 50, son. You will not cross the 50. And this is why he is the way he is.
How did he get this way? Oh, I don't know.
But it should be noted that we can't even like play. My wife accuses me of cheating at Yahtzee, which is the ultimate. It's the ultimate game of chance.
I say, how do you cheat at Yahtzee?
We're rolling the same dice.
Are you loading dice?
No, we're rolling the same dice. She's like, "There's no way." I'm
magnets under the table.
You literally just saw this. So the competitiveness in my children, it comes from both sides, both parents here, and we could share equal blame. But I'm just hoping that I still got it when it comes to the sticks when NCAA 25 comes out, because there will be a 222-0. And I will take a knee. I will take a knee at the end of the game on the goal line just to prove I could have scored more, son.
I'll bring whatever system, either PS5 or Xbox, whatever one you're looking at getting. And we'll bring it in here beforehand. We'll get you going.
I mean, I feel like it'll still, as long as they don't change it dramatically. And this is what they can't do with NCAA. They can't go what they did with Madden. Just give us.
I mean, they're going to add a bunch of new features. That's going to happen. NCAA was the one who always added the new features, and then they were the better new features. It always played better than Madden.
Yeah, Madden did like the scope, the quarterback vision. That was the dumbest thing that they did.
It was fine, except for your opponent could see it too. Like, I think it was fine for you because it allowed you to kind of like lead with your eyes, kind of a deal.
Yeah, I was not a fan of it, but I'm here. I'm all for children smack talking because I'm not alone in this fight. It is very real out there. It is very real.
Well, Jerry Jones is getting very old. It's true. But you know what else? He's getting very old alongside Jimmy Johnson. And look, he brought him back into the Ring of Honor and more Dallas Cowboys love.
This is a great story, though. We have a text on the Vancouver Ford text line. I was explaining a when I was your age story. And Dad, what do you know? You were born back in the 1900s. I'm 47. That texture. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing with kids. Like, they're like, you're from the 1900s? Like, yeah.
Not only 1990s, but 1980s.
Wasn't that long ago.
What are we doing?
Or some of us from the 1970s.
70s, yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Something for the YouTubers over here.
Yeah. Gosh.
Somebody born long before the 1970s, Jerry Jones. We'll get to that and more. Coming right, Danny Dusty, 1080 The Fan. good blood feud as much as anyone. It's true.
That's just an evergreen statement for you.
It's true.
This is back-to-back weeks. Last week it was, I love that Bad Blood is back in the NBA.
Yeah. I mean, that was hilarious. The timing on that was perfect because that was like 2 days before Isaiah Stewart sucker punched Drew Eubanks. When that happened, it was like, good. Not that it happened necessarily to Drew, because I love Drew. He's a great dude. But, yeah.
Wait, have we heard anything else about that?
They're pushing that down on the wraps, but I still have heard that the video is going to go public.
Ooh. I need the CC video.
I want to see Drew get punched and not move, because everybody has said that has seen it that I know has been like, yeah, he doesn't move. It's going to make him look really good. And apparently Stu catches him. Like,
he got him?
Got him. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in.
Apparently Drew's got a jaw, not a glass jaw.
Okay, good.
Adds to the Shaq of Troutdale. I love it. The legend grows.
Or the Trout of Shackdale, however you want to put it. He can take a punch. I like that.
But also growing legends, one that has been repaired. A long-lasting blood feud between Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson that stemmed for, 25 years?
Yeah.
23 years?
I don't know how long there was like truly bad blood in all of it.
Basically from 93 until this year.
So
21 years?
I think that it was just it was really ugly for probably a good 10-year run there when Jimmy was still trying to coach and he was, in Miami and doing that. But then I think once he got away and was doing the TV gig, and especially in these later years, it seems like it was more of just, it'd been so long since they'd hashed anything out that, time heals all. And a little bit between Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson went a long ways with him going in the Ring of Honor.
And now Jimmy Johnson is on Jerry Jones's advisory board. He's back in the fold fully with the Cowboys. He said that after the Cowboys lost to Green Bay, he talked to Jerry about an hour after the game. And what do we do? How do we do? How do we go about it? He has flat out said, I am back in the fold with the Cowboys.
I like that. That's awesome for Cowboys fans. You got to love that. But I don't know if Jimmy Johnson can fix Mike McCarthy. Or Dak Prescott getting a case of the turnovers in every game that is of note and importance.
But it was absolutely insane and unhinged that somebody that important to the Cowboys, maybe more important as a coach than Landry.
See that I don't know.
I think they're equal. Toss,
they're on equal footing because of Jimmy Johnson went from college football where he was at the top of his game and he took it over in the NFL and he changed the way that he and Gil Brandt, the evaluation process, the the draft comp board that they have, where if you're trading picks, so you sign a value,
the point
to them,
value,
and they changed roster building. And they were the last ones to kind of get in before the salary cap era in the NFL, and they made one of the greatest teams to ever play.
The triplets, baby. I mean, the trade that ended up setting the stage for all of that draft capital became those guys was, probably the most lopsided trade in pro sports history.
Yes, it was. I mean, the Herschel Walker trade changed two franchises for decades.
And that's, for those that aren't aware, that the picks that they got from the Herschel Walker deal ended up leading to the triplets in Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, and Emmitt Smith. Like, it's
God, those teams are so good though. Outside of those, even outside of those guys,
Larry Allen, Jay Novacek, Deion Sanders,
hell, Alvin Harper. I mean, they were really
Moose Johnson
good.
It was absolutely bonkers how good. Like, the amount of that the Bills had to go up against that.
But here's the thing about that is how good were the 49ers too,
yes. that lost to them and finally get over it because they accumulated more talent than God in 94.
And this is what it all came down to with Jerry and Jimmy, though. It was who got the credit. And credit leads to the downfall of a lot of these great dynasties. And look, it took 20 years for it to happen with Brady and Belichick. And then it was finally like, dude,
and that was only because they kept winning and winning and winning and winning.
But it came down to Hey, you can't treat me like everybody else because I'm old enough to be their damn dads for some of these rookies at this point, and you got to treat me differently. And that wasn't it. And Apple TV has got the Patriots Dynasty thing, and I'm really interested. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to dive into that, where they get Brady and they get Belichick front and center in that. But this is usually what happens, and this is going to be the one that you have no worries about that in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid right now. Those two guys, Brett Veach he does a phenomenal job of building that roster and making sure that Andy Reid has all the tools that he needs to win. And it seems like there's this no ego amigo type thing going on in Kansas City, where you got Chris Jones half in the bag saying, I'm going to come back, I'm going to play for whatever, I'm going to be here for 3 or 4 more years. That is the secret to the sauce, is you have got to have that continuity and that kind of mentality when you have a dynasty. And it ripped apart Dallas. It eventually ripped apart New England. And the only thing that's probably going to rip it apart in Kansas City is Andy Reid's 65 years old. He's not in his 40s.
I'll hang it up.
How long does he have, and how much more does he have in him? And he's going to come back this year, and they're going to be really damn good again.
If they win again, he hangs it up, right?
I don't know if they do the three-peat. Well, you hear Travis Kelce's like, when Big Red's gone, I'm gone. And that's going to be one too, because
he's 35 going in next year, right?
This was his 11th year in the NFL. This was year 11 for him.
That's a long time for a tight end.
Hell yeah.
That's a long time for any player, but that's a long time for a tight end.
He will turn 35 in October.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Pretty early in the season.
Year 35. So how many 35-year-old tight ends have been that productive?
Well, that's why a lot of the conversation around free agency and the franchise tag is, maybe do you trade a little bit of that young talent you have on the defensive side to get more targets? Because how many more years does Mahomes have with Kelce? And do you need to find that guy who's going to be the safety blanket? Because
that, or you go get somebody that first round pick.
Travis Kelce, it could end this year.
I think with him, you're looking at, like, he ends up being like we saw this year during the regular season. He wasn't targeted nearly as much. They saved it for the playoffs. And I think that's how you treat it going forward.
If your division gets better, though, you can't afford to go through that.
Which those Chargers look like they may be better.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about the Broncos anytime soon.
Not right now. Hey, speaking of, Russell Wilson's on NFL Live right now.
Immaculate timing. Which is funny because we're watching the same TVs and mine has something different up. But the NFL, it's a good place to go here. As we reset in hour number 3, it is franchise tag season. Who's getting it? Who's not? What are the impacts to rosters? And particularly, the Kansas City Chiefs have a decision to make. Chris Jones, Jarius Sneed, which one costs more and which one makes sense for the future? Coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Hour number 3 here on a Tuesday afternoon on Danny and Dusty.
Yeah.
And even though the NFL season's over, well, the NFL season's back on again because it's franchise tag season.
It is. And I don't know what to make of the franchise tag season because it always seems like there's one or two guys that get it that you're like, that doesn't make sense.
That's a little interesting.
But this year in the NFL, there's a lot of slam dunks and a lot of questions where you go, all right, how do they want to attack this? Because you have the guys like Saquon Barkley in New York, franchised him last year, $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a $12 million tag this year.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a full guaranteed roster spot to a solid player.
And he's 27 years old though,
and he's dinged up.
He's dinged up, and your offensive line was not very good last year. Your quarterback position was all over the place because Daniel Jones got hurt. And are they in win now mode? That is a big one. You don't want to bring a guy back if you're sitting there and you're going, well, 2 years ago was an aberration. We kind of got lucky and we fell face first into a playoff game. This year, you need Saquon Barkley if you're going to win. But are they in that window where they say we can unseat Dallas, Philly, and the rest of the players in the NFC?
I'm going to go on a limb and say no because the Giants, like we said back then, number one, should have franchise tagged Daniel Jones if you're going to worry about keeping him because...
Well, they were upset about that, and rightfully so.
They overpaid for a quarterback.
By they, I mean the other players on the team.
Yes, and they overpaid a quarterback that is going to hold them back for years, in my opinion. It's not Russell Wilson bad, but it's close.
It's nowhere near Russell Wilson.
Well, no, the impact, but I'm talking about his level. The financial impact is not as bad. I'm talking about his play.
Oh, he's not awful. You got other issues though, because
but you have so much money committed to a player who's not awful.
But is it really that much money?
Yeah, his first year was 20. It goes up to 40 something.
Yeah,
I remember his cap impact. It had a pretty nasty impact over the next couple of years.
But for your starting quarterback, is he a guy that's going to win you a Super Bowl? No.
And you're paying him that much.
But his cap number is going to be 47 this year, 41, and then 58 in 2026, which is you'll restructure.
My God.
Think of what Dak Prescott is. Dak Prescott's going to get $60 million.
59. So you're saying in 2 years he's going to get the same number as Dak Prescott.
But
the cap's going to go up, all those kind of things.
But you restructure, his is restructure city. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, but you only have so many years to restructure his. His isn't some 10-year deal.
Well, I know, but we always talk about this in these cap numbers are egregious. It's
Remember,
insane.
his was fully guaranteed.
I wonder what his is going to be when you think of look at the position at quarterback, and then hold on. Let me look that up here real quick. What his total cap hit is going to be? Deshaun Watson, $63 million.
Yeah, again,
egregious. Dak is already at 59.
Ugh.
Patrick Mahomes at 58.
Totally fine.
Kyler Murray at 51.
Gross.
Matthew Stafford at 49.
Worth it. They won a Super Bowl.
And then you have Daniel Jones at 47.
One of those is not like the other, Dusty.
Well, Kyler Murray.
But at least understood the talent perspective of it, as dumb as it was, because he's a head case. But you've got Super Bowl winning quarterback Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl winning quarterback Matthew Stafford.
He drops all the way down to 12 in 2025 for cap hits.
Jones?
Yep.
Okay, so that's where the sweet spot is next year.
But this
then
is
it spikes back up.
This is what we talk about. Then you restructure his deal, and it softens the blow a little bit. That's the way that this goes when we talk about quarterback pay.
Which means at some point in time, if they restructured it again, he'd have a year where he's making 70.
Well, you just kick the can down.
That's what I'm saying. Because he doesn't have a 10-year deal. And remember, they gave him his was almost entirely guaranteed. If it wasn't fully guaranteed, it was a massive number.
I don't think it was fully $160 million contract, 92 guaranteed.
Yeah, that's
of 160.
That's a big number.
Yeah, I mean,
because if they've only done 20 and then 12. That means they've got to find another 60 in there in 2 years.
And that's with a restructure. Your restructure year is this. After this year, you have your potential out where you could have very little impact.
It'll just be dead cap.
But it's very little when you think of the way, because you can, none of that, all that guaranteed money, once you pay him into signing bonuses, you restructure after this year.
Well, yeah, if you
move that money around, then it does not, it's not as punitive, but he's definitely not one of those top 5 quarterbacks in the league. He's not a top 10 quarterback. He's middle of the road. And that's where they made the mistake last year. But at the same time, everybody was going to mock them and make fun of them if they franchise tag Daniel Jones and he went out and he got hurt like he did. There's no win for the New York Giants.
I would say, though, if they had done that, think about the position they're in right now.
With no quarterback?
Well, I mean, you rinse your hands of it. And yes, but you're also, your cap looks phenomenal going forward.
They have got a lot more issues than just that.
And that's what I'm saying, though. If you all of a sudden your cap sheet looks that clean and you didn't have your quarterback either way.
Yeah.
You don't have your quarterback either way. So you have to address that. You have to address your offensive line. You have to address your defense. I think it's a lot easier to do when you don't have a cap sheet that has a massive hit on it.
They currently have $26 million to work with right now, which is middle of the pack in the NFL.
So they would probably be number 1 without Jones.
I don't know. Well, Commanders have got $85 million.
That's true. They forgot. They structured it to where they have nobody.
Patriots have $74 million. Titans have 72. Bears have 70. Colts have 66.
Oh, that's right.
There's a lot of teams.
I forgot Henry and Tannehill both fall off this year.
There's a ton of money for a lot of teams to spend this year.
Having your top 2 payrolls coming off your salary is very, very, very helpful for your books.
Free agency.
It's going to be weird.
There's a lot of teams that are going to spend. Gerard Mayo in New England's saying, we're going to spend money. The Commanders are, we're going to spend money.
That's the one I believe.
And those are the teams that are just going to, you don't win in free agency in the NFL.
And
you don't.
You don't. And that's the thing is, I believe the Commanders will screw it up and they're going to spend money. But I think if they find their way and they get Caleb at number 2, they're going to go out and spend money and they're going to put weapons around him. And there's, like, could you imagine a T. Higgins, who is one of those guys that could be franchise tagged here by the Bengals?
Yep. Which I think they do, and they keep T. Higgins
because he's
alongside Jamar Chase, and you have the weapons for Joe Burrow to work with, and then you can continue to build your offensive line, build up on the defensive side with your draft capital, and not hamper yourself from becoming a winner. The Bengals don't have a whole heck of a lot of money to spend, so use it. Use the money that you do have.
Use it now while
on
you got
T. Higgins, and then boom, when all of the cap hits start coming for Chase and Burrow, you're going to be in a far better situation. I think that's a no-brainer. I think the tough one is with Kansas City, to be honest.
You have a decision between Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed, and it's not which player do you like. It's, the cap hit for a franchise tag for Chris Jones is $32 million.
And this is where I think you look at Chris Jones and you heard what he said at the Super Bowl parade. I think this
drinks were indicative of said words.
This one is probably going to go to L'Jarius Sneed, their franchise tag, and then you go down the road with Chris Jones and say, "Hey, how's $22 million sound?" And then you see if he'll be willing to play ball. But that goes back to just building a dynasty and how dynasties are built. You got to have those guys that do take the discount to stick around.
And that's because if you look at Sneed, if they were to do that, they give Jones $22 million. Sneed's franchise tag would be 18. So that's $40 million. Oof. Okay, between those two. Or you could just have Chris Jones at 32 by himself.
And then try to convince L'Jarius Sneed, best corner in the NFL,
to take $4 million a year,
that the Commanders, the Patriots, the Titans, the Bears are not going to throw all of the money at him.
They're going to give him probably $10 million a year. Which in the NFL, you take the money and run because their deals aren't fully guaranteed. And that position, everybody talks
pay him more than 20.
I don't understand this. We talk about the shelf life of running backs. Why do we not talk about the shelf life of corners anymore? Because they fall off a cliff.
I think it's just because they're all young. I think he gets more than 10 because you look at Trayvon Diggs, who's 19.
Is it that high?
He's
for corners?
Fourth.
I guess I did say 18. So
he's the 4th highest paid corner in the NFL. You put him
probably 16 to 18 over years, and it depends on the guarantee.
Probably looking at more.
If you got 448 and it's guaranteed, oof. which I think that's probably what he'd be looking at.
But they're not going to guarantee a corner salary.
And that's why I'm saying, like, it depends on the guarantee. Like, if you could get $12 million a year for 4 years guaranteed, you take that and run.
That's wild. But this is also the beauty of the NFL. Here we are coming out of President's Day weekend. The NBA just had their All-Star game.
And we're talking NFL franchise tags.
And they dominate. Their calendar is set perfectly, where they will dominate every cycle. And look, this is going to tell you what the Kansas City Chiefs are going to do in free agency. This is going to tell us
what
the Baltimore Ravens are going to be doing in free agency, because what's it? I always screw his name up. Justin Matabuke, the defensive tackle.
Oh, defensive tackle. Yeah.
Dude, that guy's. They franchise tag him, and teams get weary of hitting that franchise tag because it is the average of what the top 4.
Josh Allen with the Jaguars, there's legitimate. They think they could lose him, and he had a phenomenal. If you're not watching the AFC South, Josh Allen was one of the best pass rushers in the league
because it can screw your books up for the long term, especially when you have Trevor Lawrence that you're looking at. You're going to have to pay him in a couple of years.
And in that same division, Michael Pittman Jr. Who's an absolute dude, and you want to have somebody for Anthony Richardson to throw to. So you've got these things that you need to balance and figure out, and it's like you start. What's interesting is it feels like there's not that many guys this go around.
There's not
franchise tag
because there aren't very many guys that they are going to invest that money in, because teams have gotten smart and they lock them up early. And you look at teams that have multiple guys that have a tag. You're either run poorly, or you're in a position like the Kansas City Chiefs where you're coming off a Super Bowl and you know everybody's going to get paid, so you have to pick and choose which guy you want to hold on to the dearest. And for me, I think it's going to be L'Jarius Sneed. He's the best corner in the game right now. And then you sit there and you go, all right, Chris, we know that we've gone through this with you before. We'll do right by you. How much you want to win? How much did you mean it when we were having a parade and you said you're going to come back? And
it's easy to say something when the pen isn't in your hand.
I think the best news out of all of this, though, is that Vikings apparently are not going to give Kirk Cousins fully guaranteed money. He should not have it.
No,
he shouldn't have it.
You come off an Achilles. No,
he should have never had it in the first place.
You like that?
No.
You like that?
A lot of Viking fans say no. And again, it should be no.
Please, God, don't let him go to the Raiders. Please, God, don't let him go to the Raiders.
Oh, he's going to. And he's going to be sitting there like, Vegas is family oriented now.
That'd be the greatest timeline. Just Jimmy G and Kirk Cousins and yeah.
Why do you wish this on me?
He's going to be going down the zip line on Fremont. And meanwhile, all Raiders fans are just
no, strong no.
That's what my brain is doing right now. Every bit of that is what's happening right now. It's also the same thing that seemingly every college basketball coach is going through. We haven't really dove into it because this college basketball season has sucked. And you're going to hear from a couple of college coaches who think the same. Come in, Brandon and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
I think it's great. I do.
Parody.
No, not parody. Just chaos. The agent of chaos that I am. I love that.
You've been tracking
Yeah.
the ranked teams losing on the road to unranked teams.
Yeah, Purdue losing on the road to an Ohio State team, which just fired their head coach last week. Okay. Is the 37th loss for a top 10 team against an unranked team this year.
By the way, Ohio State, according to this week's Ken Palm, is 63rd. They would be the third to last team on the NCAA tournament selection based on this.
They're 14-11.
Oh.
Like think
15-11 now.
15-11. Think of how bad this is. You look down the top 25 rankings. You have UConn with 2 losses. Purdue and Houston each have 3 losses. Outside of that, it's 5, 6, 7 lost teams that are all in the top 25 and ranked right now. Dayton is 21-4. They're ranked 16th right now. There are no great teams. I think UConn is the best team in the country right now. They're, defending national champions, but they're playing the most consistent basketball. Houston is always I'll believe it when I see it come March time. But one thing that I'm really excited for is you talked about that Ohio State team being 63rd. I think we're going to just have sheer chaos.
The NCAA tournament is going to be a absolute S show.
Because you look at what the top 4 seeds would be right now: UConn, Houston, Purdue, and Arizona.
Does
anybody believe in any of them?
Like you said, UConn is the one team that I think I believe in, but their issue has been injuries. Stephon Castle, Donovan Clingan have both been banged up. Both are supposed lottery picks. Castle, the guard spot, Clingan's the massive 7'2" big man that they have. And that's been an issue for them.
Well, Purdue's in line to be a 1 seed again, and they're probably going to get upset by Fairleigh Dickinson again.
Because it can happen, because when your entire offense is built around a 7'4" kid who has feet heavier than mine, it's just...
I can't wait for people to start why isn't Zach Edey getting enough love in the NBA draft?
What's going to end up happening is the Walker Kesslers of the world, people seeing super big people being valuable again. There's been this swing back to hey, someone who can move just relatively well at that size poses such a problem for 3 and rim pressure teams that if you can just take that away by being massive,
just be big.
It's maybe worth drafting a guy like that in the first round, which he's getting some first round grades now. So.
I still say Walker Kessler, his nickname should be the law firm.
He does sound like
or his nickname should be Kessler Walker.
Oh,
or that.
Okay.
Because either one sounds the same.
Right.
It's the same. When you picture that dude in your head, it's the same person.
It took me a while with just the names to realize that Walker Kessler and Kessler Edwards were 2 different people.
Also, again, Walker Kessler Edwards.
Right? So, there's your law firm.
Yeah, 100%.
Personal injury.
Definitely ambulance chasers. But you look at this and it's North Carolina, after playing Duke, I believe they're winless, or they won 1 in their last 5. I can't remember what it is. And Duke is undefeated. Yet per Ken Palm, who they're both North Carolina's 20-6, Duke's 20-5. North Carolina's number 10, Duke is number 11.
They are currently 3-3 over that since the North Carolina.
Yes, okay.
Lost to Georgia Tech.
They won both games
Duke,
this weekend.
Beat Clemson. Or lost to Clemson, beat Miami, lost to Syracuse, beat Virginia Tech. Some of their losses are really bad, though.
In that Miami game, that was close, wasn't it?
Yep, 75-72.
Yeah, I would say Keyshawn George was pretty good in that game, if I remember right. But you go up and down this list. If I told you that Gonzaga was number 20, would that be a surprise to you? A team that has been perennially a 1 or 2 seed? That's where they're currently ranked on Ken Palm. Kentucky is 21. Colorado State is ranked ahead of Texas, Clemson, Villanova.
Gonzaga isn't even in the top 25 of either one of the polls. The human polls, they're saying no Zags.
No, because
not your year.
You play in the WCC, so your losses are amplified.
Yep. Without a BYU anymore because they're a Big 12 team.
Yeah. So they was but again, if you're looking for any understanding or belief projected forward for what they're going to be, this is kind of how it all shapes up.
College basketball is absolutely drunk. I'm here for all of it. I want more of it, because if you think of where we love college basketball, it's in March. And this is just primed for a chaotic March. And I want every bit of that. I want to see brackets being completely out of whack. And we now, as everybody starts focusing on college basketball and we turn our attention towards actually what college basketball is, we'll see which teams get hot late in the year, and it'll be glaring. We're going to see teams absolutely vault up the seeds as the next month and a half happen.
Which is kind of crazy because you take a look at a team like St. John's, which is being coached by the Hall of Famer Rick Pitino. They're currently 42nd in KenPom.
What?
42nd, and they are 14-12, which if you listen to Rick Pitino following his latest game, you would have no idea that they are anywhere near that spot.
I don't think they move well laterally. I don't think they're going to pick it up in the next week. I think they're slow laterally. I mean, Sean Conway gives you everything he can. He's slow laterally. About 5 guys are slow laterally. Even the Celtics, when we lost, I've enjoyed every minute being a Boston Celtic coach. Didn't like the fact that we lost in that following year, but this has been the most unenjoyable experience I've had since I've been coaching.
You have any second thoughts of taking this job?
No, not at all. It's not St. John's. It's my team. I think they're very respectful. They hear, but they don't listen. It's taken me a month to get them to throw bounce passes. Actually, 2 months to throw bounce passes. Just thinking of getting ready for Georgetown because Georgetown could definitely beat us.
Damn. Georgetown, by the way, 1-13 in Big East play, 8-17 overall. And this is a St. John's team that's lost 8 of their last 10.
Yeah. And the Big East is probably the best conference in basketball this year, between them and the Big Ten. Big East is a bloodbath. But just to kind of show you where things are, again, that St. John's team that is 14-12, nearly 500, is 42nd. Damn near middle of the road when you're talking about the top 64.
They're 9th in the Big East right now. They're 6-9 in Big East play. They're not a good team right now. They got Rick damn Pitino. And this is the thing that's crazy, is that if they get in, then you're looking at a team. Are you going to rule out a well-coached team by Rick Pitino? If he naming names is a wild thing. Just
kind
like
of
saying
throw bounce passes.
Oh my God! Just saying, hey, listens, but come on. What are we doing? He tries hard, but he's not very good.
He's not very good.
And he's naming names. You sit there and you go, all right, if it clicks for St. John's at any point and they still are hanging around with some of the metrics, depending on where they are in the net ratings or KenPom or RPI, they could end up in this wild year of college basketball, making a run in the tournament. But right now you have Rick Pitino, Hall of Fame coach, who's just absolutely at his wit's end with them. And he's not the only one, because Kentucky is sitting there. They're ranked 17th in the country. They are 18-7 this year. And by the way, 18-7 gets you 17th ranked team in the country. And they just beat Auburn, which is a top 10 team. And John Calipari is just, he's doing basically the same thing, except for after a win, he's able to come at the media.
We're hoping to see something different. We have some people here that are there for a reason. We're going to make this out to be. Please just lead my players, let them be young and learn, and keep attacking me. I may be the worst in the country. Just attack me and leave these kids alone, okay? Thank you.
Oh, that's a different tune than Rick Pitino.
Mm-hmm.
Attack me, leave the kids alone.
I'll attack my own kids.
But he's catching heat, man. Like, this is a wild year of college basketball. And look, you're starting to see, we've seen this over time. We've seen coaches that are now stepping away from college sports because of the fact that they don't want to go through this. Jay Wright did it at Villanova. He didn't want to go through the transfer portal in the NIL era. You saw Roy Williams, him sliding away at the time that he did. It wasn't just to give his boy, Hubert Davis a gig. No, he was coming. He was old, and he's like, I don't want to play this game anymore.
Interesting that great coaches. What I'm about to say, it might sound controversial. It's not, and I don't mean it disrespectfully. 2 of the biggest bag men in the last 25 years.
Absolutely.
In Pitino and Cal. The fact that they're frustrated.
Everybody's got the bag now.
That's a big part of this is that, look, if it was like, oh my God, how does Kentucky keep getting every one of these 5 stars? It's because they're really good recruiters.
Well, make no mistake about it. There's a reason why Coach Calipari went from that game where they beat Auburn and he went right to Indianapolis. And he even said, he's like, no, I'm there because
he had 5 NBA stars.
I think they had 18 players invited, like to All-Star Weekend.
5 NBA All-Stars.
Like it was over the weekend, Rising Stars, all the competitions, all that. He was like, it's a record. We smashed it. It was far and beyond what anybody else has ever had. And so you have Coach Cal needs to find his traction wherever he can, and that's the way it's going to be for him.
It's relying on the NBA guys pulling some weight because these aren't fringe NBA guys. It's Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Anthony Davis, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Tyrese Maxey, Karl Anthony Towns. Come here, you can be an all-star. That's the pitch. And that's created because they had the bag.
Yep. And I'm sorry. It was he had 7 all-stars. Wait, is that this year? Yeah, it was this year. 7 all-stars this year. It was 5 was we shortchanged. 5 was the record. He's got 7. That's crazy. That's crazy to think about. But here we are with 2 of the legends of the game, and this is why it's all turning to a young man's game. And I'm here for guys like Kyle Smith at Washington State, having his lunch pail guys who are just gritty, tough defensively. Where are they at in the KenPom? Because I know they're 21st ranked.
Kentucky?
Oh, no, Washington State. Because that team is going to be scary.
34. Middle
of 34th? Because Pac-12 sucks.
Yeah. Of the major conferences, Pac-12 is the worst.
Of course. Wouldn't want it any other way. Go out with a bang.
Go out with a bang, baby. Yeah, there's going to be some coaches fired at the end of this year.
You got the Cougs on the men's side, the Beavs on the women's side. The Pac-2 is doing well.
And also, it would behoove to mention this. College basketball is down because if you look at the NBA draft this year, nobody's coming out in college. They don't have stars this year. But if you look at the 2025 NBA draft, the top 5 projected picks, all high school seniors right now, and they're all going to college. Cooper Flagg to Duke, Ace Bailey to Rutgers, VJ Edgecombe to Baylor, Dylan Harper, Ron Harper's brother, to Rutgers. Rutgers got number 2 and number 5. You want to talk about handing out bags? There you go.
Dang.
Yeah, Dylan Harper is Ron Harper's son, by the way. And then Trey Johnson going to Texas.
Dang.
All of them going to college.
Let's see here. Steve Pikiel is the Rutgers basketball coach. Mm-hmm. I've never heard that name in my life.
Expect Rutgers to be appointment viewing next year.
All right.
So
they moved on from Mike Rice's kid.
That was a little while ago.
It's the last Rutgers coach I know.
You're not staying up on your Rutgers basketball?
No.
How dare you? Well, JJ Redick, not a fan of Doc Rivers.
Love it.
Not really something people are unaware of. He further emphasized that point on ESPN and then drove it home again on Pat Beverly. We'll get to that and more. But first, here's the Big Kahuna of the Sports Center update.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, we now know how the 12-team college football playoff will look. The Board of Managers have unanimously approved a model that will guarantee the 5 highest-ranked conference champions a spot, along with the next 7 highest-ranked teams. Neither Oregon State nor Washington State can qualify as a conference champion, but they can qualify for at-large bids. Patriot special teamer Matthew Slater has announced his retirement after 16 seasons. The son of Hall of Fame offensive lineman Jackie Slater holds the NFL record for most special teams Pro Bowl appearances with 10. After watching former teammate Damian Lillard take home the All-Star Game MVP in his second straight three-point shootout title, the Trailblazers start the second half of the season Friday hosting the Nuggets. They are currently 15-39 on the season. That's the 5th worst record in the association. And 13-year NBA vet Robert Reed has passed away after a battle with cancer. Reed spent 10 years in Houston and appeared in 12 games with the Blazers during the 1989-90 season before being waived and joining the Hornets. Robert Reed was 68. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Spirit Mountain Casino is the place to watch and wager on pro and college games every week. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
You're invited to play in the first annual Fan Winter Golf Classic at X Golf Tualatin and X Golf Vancouver. Sign your threesome up at 1080thefan.com.
Gone from hating Duke's JJ Redick to loving post-career JJ Redick.
I've always been a JJ fan. I'm just pull up, he was before Steph. You just pull up from anywhere and you go, Redick.
He made a lot of white guys playing basketball significantly more confident than they ever had any reason to.
Yeah, he lost me with the poetry thing, but it's his jam. He loves it.
For the younger guys who were like, JJ Redick was a role player, blah, 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 blah. JJ Redick was the most electric, hated player in college basketball when he was in college.
He was incredible.
And the atmosphere around him, it wasn't Christian Laettner bad, but it was up there.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the 4 letters across the front of his chest either, but
I mean, that was a part of it, certainly. Of course, but he played into it.
Yes.
He's like, Grayson Allen was dirty. Christian Laettner was dirty. JJ was
the heel.
A heel. Yeah, he wasn't dirty. He really played into the heel.
He was Coach K's special boy.
Yes. Whoa, careful.
Well, Coach K has his special boys.
That's true.
Whether it's Greg Paulus or Laettner.
It's weird how they all look a lot alike.
Well, Grant Hill. Grant Hill was one of his special boys.
Yeah, wasn't he called something by Jalen Rose?
Ooh, yeah.
Just
yikes. Yeah.
I'm just kind of,
But he has his little teacher's pets, and everybody hated him because you knew how much Coach K loved him.
Oh yeah, absolutely, which made it absolutely worse. But after JJ Redick's career, he's made a tremendous transition.
He's awesome.
To both broadcasting with ESPN, because he's now taking over for Doc Rivers, who left to coach the Milwaukee Bucks. JJ will now be in the playoffs in the finals booth with Mike Breen and Doris Burke. JJ also very good on the Old Man and the Three podcast. It's actually one of 2 that I listen to on my way into work every day. But JJ has made no bones about not liking Doc Rivers after playing for him and really just not having a great relationship with him. And now he continues that trend where he went off on Doc again this morning.
Side note real quick. No one's going to react to Doc's audio there. We've been here 7 minutes since we showed that audio. Nobody's going to react to Doc's audio?
Do you want me to get it repeated for you?
You don't repeat it. We don't have to repeat it.
I can repeat it.
I've seen the trend now. I've seen the trend for years.
What's the trend?
The trend is always making excuses. Doc, we get it. Taking over a team in the middle of the season is hard. It's hard. We get it. Just like getting traded in the middle of the season is hard for a player. We get it. But it's always an excuse. It's always throwing your team under the bus. They lose to Memphis. Oh, it's his players' fault. Memphis was playing G League guys and two-way guys. And then you look at his quotes over the weekend. Now he wants to take credit for the James Harden trade to the Clippers working out. He wants credit for that. There's never accountability with that guy. There's never accountability.
Yikes.
This is not the first time JJ has gone after Doc, publicly or privately.
It's going to be great when he's calling the NBA Finals and the Bucks are in it, though.
I mean, there's a good chance the Bucks make it still. I know I've said this a bunch of times, and I believe it that the Bucks will figure this out, but it won't be because I guess you could kind of say it's because of Doc, because he ironed out the stupid that was there from Adrian Griffin.
They were winning at a really high clip with Adrian Griffin too, though.
It's true. Again, the talent is overwhelming.
Lost 7 of 10 or so.
Yeah, they were 3-7 since Doc took over. So, but this is. I don't necessarily like the idea of the beef, although it's funny. I do appreciate that JJ is willing to call a spade a spade.
And here's the thing about Doc. Like Doc said today too that he didn't want Adrian Griffin fired.
Yeah, he went to ownership and said, "Oh, I don't understand why you're doing this."
Okay.
Really? Because they were consulting you and you took a multi-year, multi-million-dollar extension through this. If you didn't really want to do this, why didn't you just coach through the year and then as an interim and then help them find a new coach?
No, because he knew what was going on.
Because he's full of crap.
And the issues that the Bucks have right now are about accountability, right? And that's one of the things that, was the rub with the veterans and Adrian Griffin. What JJ Redick is outlining right there is that this is still going to be an issue with Doc Rivers. And he went through it. Now, he has an axe to grind because things didn't go well with him. And they had really damn good teams. But this is what JJ Redick is saying, is that even if he's telling the players, and preaching accountability to the players on a day in and day out basis as this is how we're going to turn it around here in Milwaukee. If there's not accountability from the top, then it falls on deaf ears. And the players are going to start sussing this out and being like, no. And that's where the cracks in the armor start. And that's what we've seen with all of Doc's previous stops.
With the exception of the Celtics. And again, the Celtics' talent was so overwhelming. What they needed was somebody behind the scenes to tell player A to be player A, player B to be player B. And as I understand it with the Bucks, that is what is happening. And it takes a little while. They built up essentially, 45 games of other habits, other styles with Griffin or with Joe Prunty in his a couple of games as an interim before Doc came in. Like there was, and I think you basically built up half a season of not caring what your coach said, because Adrian Griffin was in one ear and out the other the second he MF'd Terry Stotts up and down in front of the players.
Yeah,
it was DOA.
I saw that. Gosh, I think it may have been. Was it? I don't know if it was on Get Up or First Take or whatever. I had it on the background, but somebody said, what about Dame's accountability with the Adrian Griffin stuff and how he rubbed Dame the wrong way? And I was like, that is a surprising one right there. Like, it seemed like Giannis was the one that had the bigger issue with it.
Well, I mean, with what?
With Adrian Griffin.
As I understand it, Giannis was kind of the last holdout for Adrian Griffin, because remember, he handpicked Griffin. The team wanted Nick Nurse. The organization wanted Nick Nurse. But Nick Nurse, to be blunt, is an a-hole.
Well,
full stop. Great coach. Will wear on you as a player because he is very demanding and not a people person.
Yeah.
Rick Carlisle, very much the same. Very demanding. Not a great, he's gotten softer in his older age, but you talk to people in Dallas, guys love him, but he is a hard ass.
But it's good for a young team that he has right now.
And so you kind of take a look at that stuff. But again, when you're the guy that handpicks, you can't be the guy that pulls the trigger too. So it's kind of like, yeah, well, so. But it's just interesting that JJ's hopping out in front of this.
I like it.
I do too. Maybe it'll kind of reel some things back as far as the perception of things. Coming up, we will put a nice little bow on today's show before we hand you over to Isaac Suk. Coming up after this, Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Well, on this date in 1967 in Aberdeen, Washington, one Kurt Donald Cobain was born.
Dang.
He would have been 57 today.
Whoa! I thought you were going to say this was the day that the acoustic album was recorded or released. This is the second I heard the song. Still, MTV Unplugged Nirvana.
Oh, it's fantastic.
That's wild.
No skips. That is a literal no skips.
That is a crazy thing to think about, that Dave Grohl is that age then too, right?
Yeah, wild. For those kids out there, Dave Grohl, drummer for Nirvana.
Didn't realize he was actually the third drummer for Nirvana.